If you hadn't already noticed from watching my channel, the art of Lube 3 requires a lot of equipment. Of course, you do have your woodworking staples like hand planes, measuring paraphernalia, all that kind of good stuff. But Lube 3 can really take it one step further, and this video is all about that. So I've whittled down my list to about 7 tools, and I'm going to take you through all of the reasons why I don't need them, and all of the reasons why I love them. First up, we have these badges. So unnecessary. These are something called fret tang nippers. Now, if you don't understand what tangs are on a fret, then let me enlighten you. Tangs are the things that are found below the crown of the fret, so below the visible part when it's in a fretboard. And these are the bits that splay out and latch onto your fretboard wood when you bash them in. So they sort of go in like this and then they splay, and they have loads of like spiky things on them that basically make them not come out again when you hammer them in properly. Now, if you're like me and you bind the edges of your fretboard, then you need to remove a little bit of material from the edge of the tang so that it can sit nicely in this fret slot and not crush the bindings on either side, if that makes sense. Subsequently, tang nippers are a thing. These guys are called Deluxe fret tang nippers, which is a very apt name for them. Not only are they very sharp and good at doing their basic job, which is cutting tangs, they also have this really handy built-in depth stop, which essentially means that you can set them to the thickness of your binding, which in my case is 1.5 millimeters, which means that you get a really consistent tang nip, as it were, throughout your entire fretboard, which is great. I also got these fret clippers just because I didn't want to split up the team. Next up is literally ridiculous, but it has saved me a lot of time, and on one of the jobs that I in the past have screwed up, because it's one of those jobs where you don't think it's going to be a big deal because it just basically comprises of drilling holes, which one would think should be pretty good at by now. But I always find a way to mess it up, so this is what this guy's here for. You may have seen it in previous videos that I've used. It's called a dot doctor, I can't talk. It's called a dot doctor, and it's from Elevate. I'm going to drop some footage of it being used here, but essentially it's a little pocket-sized jig that you put on the edge of your fretboard, and it's got a perfectly straight down hole, so you don't need to worry about using a pillar drill. It will true up your drill for you, and it's got a machine center line in the middle of the hole, and it drills inlay circles for you. I use copper tube for my inlay circles, so it's really, really great. I just find the copper tube that matches the size of the drill bit. They provide a drill bit as well, and it goes straight in there. The thing that I really struggle with is just like the headache of making sure all of your dots are perfectly aligned, checking it on the pillar drill, and then the pillar drill moves and you're like, oh, when is it gonna end? You can literally just adjust the depth of where you want the hole to be on your fingerboard by adding a strip of veneer or a bit of wood to kind of level it out, and then just clamp it right onto your fretboard. Is it necessary? Absolutely not, but it's pretty cool. All of this tool talk is making me hot. Next up, we have the honing guide. I will tell you a secret, I actually can't sharpen very well without one of these guys. I mean, I can do it, but it always takes longer, and whatever, shoot me. Got a really handy set on it, so you can actually go from 10 degrees to 54 degrees if you so wish. Bit weird, but sure. I would 100% recommend that to just beginners, because it really shows you the value of learning how to sharpen well. And when I first learned to sharpen a chisel by hand, it was not good for my tools. It just was like all over the shop. Next is a bit of a dark horse, because it is dressed as a tool that is very staple, but it also has a hidden thing that is very luxurious for guitar making, and that is the straight edge. It's actually a 2-in-1 straight edge, so this is obviously super important for any type of woodworking. Having a plain straight edge, amazing, very important. Make sure it's reliable, all of that stuff. But this side is extra useful because I use it for when I'm planing a dip into my fingerboard. It's just the right length for me to catch the sort of light underneath, to see how even my bow is and how large my bow is, which is so useful. And again, I didn't have one of these, and I actually ordered it as a straight edge, not knowing that it had this side on it. And when it arrived, I was like, I don't need that, that's absurd. But turns out it is great just having that slightly shorter length of straight edge. Because my tops have a 40-foot radius in it, when I was putting the whole length of the straight edge there, it's actually pretty hard to see what the bow's doing without it being interfered with somewhere in there. Basically allows for an extra level of precision, which when you're doing fine lutherie is completely essential. Also, the thing I like about this, it has a little hole in the end there, so I can hang it on a nail, which is good because it gets out of the way so I don't trip on it with my clumsy, massive feet. Next up is to do with, again, the sharpening process, much like the honing guide, but this is a Japanese diamond stone. I wanted to defend this because everyone's like, why are you using a diamond stone? That's so unnecessary. Why don't you use a whetstone? And I'm like, yes, you're absolutely right. It is unnecessary. I could use a whetstone. But here's my thinking behind using a diamond stone. One, it's flat, perfectly flat, never gonna not be flat. Whetstones, have to flatten them every now and then. Really annoying. Sometimes they're not flat even after you think they're flattened and then your blade is rounded and it's a nightmare. Diamond stones don't do that. Yes, they wear out over time, but I've had this baby for like 5-6 years and it's absolutely fine. Still sharpens like a dream and I sharpen most days. So think about that. Also, just in a practical level, I've had to travel with this guy a few times. Doesn't leave any residue on any of my other tools. It's not got like chalky stuff coming off it. It's really nice. It looks great, makes me feel like it's a little disco every time I sharpen because it's sparkly. So again, it's one of those tools which is just like a pleasure to use. It's a total luxury. You don't have to soak it in water before you use it. You just spritz on a bit of water and then it's good to go, and you can just wipe it clean afterwards. It's just really nice. It's my preference. Obviously whetstones have their place. I do have a number of whetstones as well, but this is just it's just a joy, you know. Finally, another completely single-use tool, which is the lazy man's dream, or the lazy woman's dream. The string spacing rule. Now, if you are mathematically challenged like I am, this is a godsend because it's a very visual tool. So you have basically a number of slots that all correspond to a width of whatever fretboard you want. Magic. I don't understand how it works and I don't try to understand, but I know that it fits beautifully because I have a certain measurement from the edge of my fretboard to my high E and my low E. So this you just stick it between the two, and when they all match up and have 6 string holes, then that's it. No maths. Heaven. Also has a handy hole on the end, which is good for hanging things up and workshop storage in general. I'm also going to do a little bonus one because this isn't a tool per se, but it is a consumable material which I am obsessed with. It goes by the name of cut lube, which my partner questioned when he found it on my internet history the day I ordered it. But seriously, this stuff is great. So when your saw is just not playing ball when you're trying to saw something and it's like and probably your technique's a bit lazy and that's why, but also sometimes the wood species is just a little bit harder to get through. This will sort you right out. It's essentially a lubricant for your blade. It just smooths things out immediately. I also use it on the sole of my plane when it's being a little bit end grainy and a bit gross, and just glides over that surface, baby. It's so nice. It's also informing me from the little picture on it that you can use it in drilling as well, which makes sense, especially because I've just realised when I'm boring holes a lot, it makes a loud squeak. So I guess that would sort that out too. So I have learned something from this video because I've never studied the labels so much before. I'm gonna leave it there because I could probably go on and on. There's probably loads of random tools like this in each corner of my workshop, but I think those ones are the ones that surprised me the most in how much I found them to be effective, despite my prior dubiousness. What? No. Okay, fine. Side-Eye wants to tell you their favourite tool as well. Yeah, no, I get it. Hang on. Just bear with me. To get into lutherie and or woodworking, then I have done another video of tools that I deem more essential. I did that a few months ago. I might update it at some point because it was when I just started my channel and I didn't really know what I was doing. Not that I do now, but you know, It's been a learning curve. I'm gonna drop a link to all of the things that I discussed in this video in my bio if you're feeling super extra, or if you just want to have a browse at ridiculous tools like we all like doing sometimes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and say hey in the comments, and if there's anything that you want me to do a video on, drop it down there as always. Just a quick one, if you see any comments in the feed that aren't of my account but are pretending to be me, which is apparently happening now, just ignore them. I apologise. I will do my best to keep that clear. I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week, weekend, day, however it is that you live second to second, and yeah, see you soon.